Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this loom knit bracelet. That's what it looks like, and it has a button closure that you just unhook and put it on your arm. I think it has a little stretch, you can almost just stretch it right on your arm, but the button closure just makes it a little nicer. So what you're going to need is yarn. My yarn is a little bit thinner yarn, so I have to use two at a time, which is why this is pink and white. I'm going to be using this lighter pink and this white to make another bracelet, because I had to have two, so I'm going to make it different. So you're going to need yarn. You're going to need a loom of some sort. Though the big one won't work, obviously, because that's the size for your head. But I have this loom that's double-ended. This end has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pegs. But the end I use for this bracelet, which you should probably use, is this end, which is 5 pegs. Because that only makes it this thick, which is a nice thickness for a bracelet. So you're going to need a loom. You're going to need scissors, obvious reasons. You're going to need a loom hook. You could use a crochet hook, but a loom hook just works better for looping them and stuff. You're going to need a little crochet hook. You don't need one, but it just makes the world easier. You're going to need a chunk of a straw. You don't need it like the crochet hook, but it makes life easier. I'll show you why. If you haven't seen my loom knit hat video, I'll teach you why you need a straw. It makes the world easier. And you may or may not need a yarn needle. And you will need a big-eyed normal needle. This one is optional, but you can... where you need I can't talk today. But the crochet hook and the yarn needle can be used instead of each other. They both make things easier and both make things harder. But you'll definitely, if you're going to put a button on it, because if you look at mine, the button's kind of small and the holes are kind of small. So you need a normal needle, but with a big eye so that yarn can fit through it. And you're going to need, for obvious reasons, a button. I have a white button just like my other one. I don't know what I can find right now. First, you're going to need to take your two yarns, find the ends. My end is right here in this yarn, and in this yarn I have to get my end. And you want to match your ends of your yarn up, so that they line up like that, so you have two ends together. And now take that little chunk of straw. If you have one of those bigger straws, like the big ones, that's really good, like from McDonald's or something. Those are really good because they're bigger and easier to get the yarn through, but you can use these skinnier straws. They do work, just a little harder. And you just try to shove this through. And this is another place where your crochet hook or yarn needle will come in handy, because you can use the end of it to kind of shove the yarn in the straw and just get it through. And just kind of shove it up in there and just get the yarn all the way through. Shove it up in there. Just takes a little bit. Like I said, with a bigger straw, you could probably just like slide it right through and it'd go perfectly. Or if you only had one yarn strand for this, you're just using one thin strand. That probably work too. But with this, I'm using the thinner straw just because I am. That's what I have at the moment. And I'm using two thin yarns because that's what I have too. And that's what I like my two-tone colored bracelets. Just get the ends all the way through and pull it through a little bit so that it doesn't come back off. And then you can take your crochet hook aside for now. Try to keep your ends lined up as neat as you can. Slide your straw down a little ways. We don't need that right at this moment. We just need to get it on before we do the next step, otherwise you can't get it on. So now you're going to make a slip knot, which the way I do it is take the yarns, this is the end, and take it around my finger, and go like that so it's an X. Do you see that? That's an X, and this is where the ends are. And then take my crochet hook, get the correct end. You see how this part where the ends are is going over? So you want to go under this one that's under, and then pull that through. Like that. And then loosen it a little bit and take it off your hook. So now you have this slip knot. I'll show you how to do that again. Make sure your ends are sort of lined up. So you want to take it and go around your finger like that, so it's an X. We see how this one is over and this one is under. So you're going to see this one that's under. You're going to go under that one. See how it's the under one? And then go over the one that's over. And then put your hook through there. And then just take it off your fingers. and then you have a loop. And then you take your loom, whatever peg you want to start on, doesn't really matter. Put your loop on it, and then just pull whichever part of the yarn makes it get tighter on it, like that. And now we're going to start the actual looming. Now this may have to do some trial and error to decide how big it needs to be for your arm, but for my arm size, for this bracelet, I did about 25 rows around, but you can always make it bigger or smaller depending on what you like. And then you just got to wrap it around like this. Make sure that that the loops are on the outside and that it looks like this. So it looks like that when you loop it. See how the things are on the inside? You're not looping it where those are on the outside, because that's how you want it, like this. And when you get wrapped all the way around, wrap around again. Like that. So now you have 2 rows. And now holding your yarn so it doesn't come undone, take your loom hook and hook the bottom loops up over the top ones. Like that. Now only one loop on the peg. Bottom one up and over the top. Bottom one up and over the top. So this would be row 2, sort of. Yeah. And now after you've done this, you will have done 2 rows. Because each time around is 1 row. Like that. Now we've looped them all up and over, so that's what it looks like in the middle. And then you put your loom hook aside again. And this you can like shove down in there, but it'll just get pulled down as the thing goes down. So you don't have to worry about it. Just trying to not play with this piece too much, just leave it hang there. You don't want to like tie it down or anything, because then your thing won't grow down through this and come out the other end. So take your straw, slide it back up, and then, see, if you tie the straw down, pretend you didn't have it, and try doing this by your fingers, focus camera, it's a lot harder to do with just your fingers, whereas if you take your straw, if you actually got a straw, and do it, it goes a lot faster, because your fingers don't have to get down in there, and the straw is skinnier than your fingers. So here, I'll show you how to loop it again. Slide my straw back up. So you just take it, and you go around, and around, and around, and around, and then around. And then you just take the bottom 2 loops up and over. Don't pull up and over the top 2 loops, because they're not connected to anything really, so they'll just come right off and then it'll all fall apart and be a big mess. Just the bottom 2 up and over. This would be row 3 for me. Like I said, for my arm size, I like 25 rows, but you can do whatever you feel comfortable with. You just loop it around again, so it's like that. Bottom loops up and over the top. If you're new to loom knitting and you want a little more in-depth video, I'll link my loom knit hat video at the end of this video if you need to go do that, or you can just go to my channel and find it. You just want to loop the bottom 2 up and over. Bottom 2 up and over. Bottom 2 up and over. And then you just gotta loop again. So that'd be row 3 for me, or would it be row 4? I've already lost count. Let me try to pull this end up in here. I think that's row, let me see, 1 second. I think that was row 3. Comment down below if I'm wrong. And I end up with the bracelet a little big. I think that was row 3, so this would be row 4. Number 4. You can like write down on a piece of paper how many rows you've done, because it just makes it easier. And you gotta loop up again. This is row 4 for me. Gotta try to remember that in your head, so don't forget like I do. This is row 4, loop up, going over, row 4, row 4, row 4. I'm trying not to forget it, because that drives me nuts when I forget, and I have to like pull it all off and count it and then put it all back on and stuff, which is annoying. Now I'm on to row 5. You can just kind of shove this down in there to get it out of your way. Row 5, loop it around with your straw like this. So it looks something like that. Take your loom hook, or you could use, focus camera, focus. A crochet hook, it's just a lot harder to get it to loop right, whereas the loom hook is just so much easier. Loop up and over. That was row 5. Try not to forget. Row 5, row 5, row 5. And you can either, there's 2 different ways of looping it that I found. You can either loop like this, take your thing down in it, and then pull it up and over, which is good because then you don't catch those other ones. But or you can go like this and go up. But this one, one problem I've noticed with it is you tend to be more likely to catch the upper 2 loops with the end of your hook. So I've found best to loop down through the loops I'm hooking, like that, and then pull them up and over. So that was row 5, correct? Yeah, row 5. Row 6. Let's loop it around. Pull it up and over, up and over, up and over. Whoops. Dropped it. Up and over, and up and over. That was row 6, correct? I think so. Row 7. Now loop up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over, and up and over. That was row 7. So now it's time for row 8. Loop it around, up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. That was row 8. Now I'm on to row 9. If you look in the bottom of your loom, you should see it starting to grow down in here. Let me pull it down further. Let me get my hook in there. See, you should see it starting to grow out there. You can take like your loom hook or your crochet hook and you can reach up in there. Make sure not to grab one of the top loops because it'll stretch it out weird. Just dig down in there and pull it up a whole bunch of them. And then it'll get out of your way more and you'll have more peg room to work on. And see, you'll start working down there. That was row 8, I believe. Now on to row 9. Loop it all around. Loop up and over. Up and over. And up and over. Up and over. And up and over. Now we're on to row 10. And again, you can reach down in there and pull that end of yours out of this end of the loom. You can also get a feel for how long it's going to end up being then. This is row 10. Up and over. 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 There, now we did that row. Then I pulled the end again, just to make it easier. See, now it's starting to come out the bottom. So now we did 10 rows. And again, you can just try to get a feel for how long it's going to be and how far around your wrist is going to go and how big you want it for your wrist size or for if you're making it for a friend or something. For my wrist, like I said, I found 25 to be right. So you can just figure out how long you like it for your arm. And we go around again. Row 11. Wrap around. Up and over. Up and over. Up and over. Up and over. And up and over. Now we've done 11 rows. And now at this point you can probably remember how you had this piece of yarn hanging out up here driving you nuts probably? You can probably pull it out this end now. And just let it dangle down here instead. Now I've done 11 rows. This is row 12. Wrap it around so it looks like that. And then loop up and over. Row 12. Loop up and over. Row 12. 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 And then I like to pull the end again. Now I've done 12 rows, and it should look like that. And it starts to go at the bottom. And now row 13. Loop, wrap around, and then loop up and over. Row 13. 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 As you can probably see, it's pretty much just making this one long string. So you really, once you get the hang of it, you can basically skip to the end of the video if you want, and watch the end. How to make it a bracelet. Yes, I stuck my needle in my bracelet to hold it for now. That was row 13. So now this is row 14. Loop it up around. Looks like that we have 2 rows. Loop it up and over. Row 14. 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 And now by now, you should pretty much have the concept that you just wrap it around and loop it up. So I'm going to do one more row with you, row 15. Then I'm going to turn off the camera, do until I get to 25, and then I'll come back and show you how to finish it. And if you need to watch how to do this more, just rewind the video and watch this part up to here again. Watch it as many times as you need to. So I'm going to do one more row with you for right now. So row 15, loop it around. Take your hook, loop up and over, loop up and over, up and over 15, up and over 15, up and over 15. Like I said, if you need to watch these steps again, just go back and watch it over again. And then when you're done with all your rows, meet me at the end of the video, and I'll teach you how to finish it. I'm back. So I just finished row 25. This is what it should look like. It should be fairly long. It shouldn't look almost long enough for bend around it being long enough for your arm. So now we have to take it off the loom. So first things first, you're going to want to pull out a little bit of yarn. It's better to have too much and not enough. Cut off however much you think. I'll show you my amount in a second once I finish rolling my yarn back up. Just put it away so it's not a mess everywhere. I cut off about, here, you can take the straw off. I cut off about that much. A good amount. You'll have too much probably, but it's better than not enough. So now, you're going to, if you notice this yarn, if you pull on it, it's connected to this peg, which means we're going to do this one last, and we're going to do this one next. Because we don't want to loop it through this one right yet, because it'll make it better if you do this one next. So this one, you're going to stick your hook, pull your yarn out a little bit, and stick your hook down through it. Take your yarn, wrap it around your hook, whatever you do, and then pull it up through that loop. Pull it up through that loop, like that. So now it's pulled through that loop, and you can take that loop, if you can, take it up and off your hook, if you can. You can also just raise these loops all up a little bit by pulling that up, and then it'll pull up like that. And now this next one, don't go this way, go this way. And then shove your hook down through it. Make sure you get all the little parts of that loop of the yarn. And then put your hook through it, and then pull your yarn back up through it. And then take that loop off. Now take this loop, stick your hook down through it. Make sure you get all the little parts of that yarn. Don't miss any little parts. And then pull your yarn up through it. And then pull it off the hook. Now you only have 2 pegs left. Now we go down in through this peg, if you can. Sometimes they're harder than others. And then pull that loop, that yarn strand, through that, and then you can pull it off the peg. Be sure not to pull the last one off the peg yet until you have the yarn strand through it. So pull your hook down through it, if you can get it, like that. Take your yarn strand, hook it around your hook, and then just pull it up through. If it doesn't come, that means you grabbed something wrong. I didn't grab all my parts of the yarn loop. Make sure you go through all the yarn, don't miss any little parts of it, and then pull it up through. There. And then you can just, once you get it all through, it won't fall apart on you. You can just pull it up, and you're done with the loom. You can just set it aside. And I'll actually pull on this a little bit just to make it tight. That's how I do it. So this end, we're just going to leave alone for a little bit. We're going to go work on the other end. This is the end where we started. This is the end where we ended. If you notice, this end is a lot shorter string versus this end. So we're going to work with the short string end, unless yours is different than mine. But start with the end you started with. You'll notice you have this sort of a loop thing. Usually, if you think like this, you wouldn't want to pull on it. But for this bracelet, you're going to kind of want to pull on it to make it a loop like that. And then you kind of want to just pull on this end of your yarn to tighten that knot part. Like that. So now you just made the loop for your button. But now you got to tie up this part so this doesn't fall apart. So you want to just take your yarn, your crochet hook, pull those pieces of yarn through so it's underneath, because this is going to be the top of our bracelet, so we can make our knot on this side of our bracelet and no one will see it. Just pull it through to the underside of the bracelet, like this, and then pull one piece of the yarn through one more loop. This is very confusing, I know. So just pull it through so they're coming out 2 separate holes. They're not coming out the same thing. And then just knot those together a couple times. Like 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. At least 2 though, not 1. And then after you knot them a few times, just take them and get down as close to the knot as you can without cutting the knot, and then just cut off the extra. And throw it away if you want, unless you want to use it for something. And then make sure your loop is still good. So you have my loop. So now you just made the loop for your buttonhole. You basically just made your buttonhole, which if you see, this is what I did on this end too, on this one too. And then you can just hook it over your button. First, now we have to attach on our button. So now you're going to go back to this end. But first, you want to look at this end before you go back to the other end. Remember, this is the side with the knot. So you want to have this be the outside. So you want to go down it like this. So you make sure you don't put your button like on the side of your bracelet. You want it on the right side. So, and you also just you can also, so many things I must say in so few words will come out of my mouth. But you want to make sure it's on the correct side of your bracelet. But you also want to wrap your bracelet around your arm if you can. And try to figure out how far on your bracelet the button should be to make sure it'll fit your arm. So you want to pull it to where it fits your arm, and then figure out right there is where the button should be, which is mine is right here. And then make sure it's on the correct side of your bracelet. So the next thing you're going to do, you kept this little place marked with your thumb where you want your button to be. So stick a crochet hook in through that point and all the way out, like so it's right there. Now take whichever piece of this yarn you want to use. If you have 2 pieces of yarn, you can pick if you want to use the pink one or the white one or whatever colors yours was to stitch on your button. For this bracelet, I use pink so it'd show up nice. For this one, again, I'm going to use pink, so you just take your one yarn, hook it around your hook, and pull it through. If you only have one color yarn, because you're using thicker yarn, then you don't get to pick that. Now I have one yarn going through this side and one like this. The white one, we'll just ignore it for now. But right now, we're going to have to get out something to thread our yarn through our normal needle with the wide eye. For me, you can use a normal needle threader, but I don't want to break my needle threaders and stuff by pulling yarn through it, so I use curling ribbon. I just fold it in half, take my needle that I'm going to use, which has to be a wide eye one, because otherwise it just won't fit. Your yarn won't fit. Stick it through a ways. Open up this loop of my curling ribbon. Take the piece of yarn I want to thread through. Put it through the curling ribbon, just a little ways. Make sure it doesn't fall out. It just did on me. Hold on to the end. And then pull the curling ribbon through the needle. And it should, if you tug on it like that, should pull the yarn through the needle. And then you can set the curling ribbon aside. And now, you can sew on your button. So take your button. You can either, if it's one of those buttons with the thing on the bottom, you can do it that way. But for mine, it has 2 holes. So I'm going to go up through the one hole and slide it all the way down. Also, make sure you don't get too big eye out of needle in case your button won't fit over it. And I put my button on. Now I'm going to go in through the other hole of my button and pull my yarn all the way through. And pull it down so it's like fairly tight to my bracelet so it's not going to like fall off. And then I'm going to go through a little bit of the yarn underneath and then come back up through the first hole I went through. If that makes any sense to you. I'm going to go down right where my string goes down, like if I was going through and back up. But I don't want to go all the way through and then all the way back up. I'm just going to go through like this a little bit. So I was through a little bit and then come back up through. Make sure you actually get yarn when you go down and then come back up. You can kind of go back up and then come right back up through the buttonhole, but sometimes it doesn't work, so you can't get the yarn. I recommend just going through and going back out through the edge of the button, and then going back up through the hole of the button. I'm trying to get this. You gotta go through this. Yeah, no, I won't come. Yeah, sorry about that. And then you just pull your needle through here. Then you can just pull it tight. And then you could just go back down through, tie it off, and be done with this. But I kind of want to go through my button twice just to make it more secure. So then I go back up through the hole that I went through originally when I was putting the button on. It's a little harder this time because there's more stuff in the buttonhole. Pull through. And then you go back down through the other buttonhole. It can be a little difficult because there's more stuff in the buttonhole too. And then now, right where you would go down to go like this and then come back up and stitch and then up and stitch, just go straight down through the bracelet. But try to don't go straight, go at an angle so you end up sort of over by this white string. But not perfectly next to it. You want to move the white string. You want to knot at the end of our bracelet. And then pull all your string through. Like that. And now your button's on. Now you're done with your needle. But now you need your little crochet hook, or whatever you're using. And you want to pull this part of the yarn so it's over closer to the white pink string. So you want to stick your hook up through so that the entrance is by the pink string. Unless you only have one string, then you can just tie it off however you feel like it. And then if you have 2 strings, which I recommend doing because it makes it just easier for this part, you want to make the entrance of your crochet hook where it goes in next to the pink string you just stitched the button on with. And you want to make the exit of it where it comes back out of your thing out by your second string that you didn't do anything with yet. So like that sort of. And you want to grab the white string. It's going to be a little difficult if it's a little tight and stuff around it. Just want to kind of just wrap it around there. And I actually am going to have to re-exit and enter and stuff and do all that fun stuff. Mine didn't go through quite right. So I already did that. So now you just take it and you just pull it through because you want the knot of your to be more on the bottom of your bracelet than on the end of it because it'll just make it look nicer. Just pull it through all the way. Take your 2 yarns and then just take your 2 yarns like this. Pull them a little tight. Make sure they're tight and stuff. And then just knot it. Like 2 or 3 times. 1. At least 2. Like I always say. 2. And 3. And then you can either tuck it down in your bracelet so you have less of a knot like this. Or you could either just cut it off like I did the other end. Because I didn't really care about that end that much. Like I'm going to do now. Or you could pull it down in the bracelet, cut it off so that the end of the string will be hidden down inside the bracelet. But I don't really feel like doing that. So I'm just going to cut it off. Close to the knot as I can get without cutting the knot. And then you can just throw that yarn away. Or do something with it. Depends on you. And now you have a bracelet. You gotta pull on it sometimes and stretching it out. And then you just hook this end around it like this. And now you have a bracelet. You just hook that loop you made over your button you just sewed on. And then you can either hook it on around your arm or you could just slide it on like I like to do. It will stretch a little bit. But there, you have a bracelet. Here's the other one I made. Put it on my other arm. There, you made loom knit yarn bracelets. I really like them. Especially when you do the white with a pink. I really like this one. I didn't like it. I didn't think I was going to like it that much. But I really like this one too, because you see more pink. If you like loom knit videos, give this a thumbs up. Because I can teach you how to make a loom knit scarf. Either the tube or the straight one. I can teach you how to do that too. Probably wait till winter for that. Probably. But I already did teach you how to make a hat. Yeah. I can teach... Okay. Stop. I'm talking. Give us a thumbs up. Comment down below if you like loom knit stuff and you want me to do more. And subscribe. Bye!